Step into a journey where every step is packed with purpose, insight, and empowerment. This is Walk with Wisdom with your host, Genevieve Wisdom. Walk with Wisdom is a dynamic podcast series designed for men and women 40 and over who are ready to embrace their best years yet. Life at this stage isn't about slowing down. It's about leveling up. Each episode is a walkthrough guide to mastering life's transitions, rediscovering passions, and thriving physically, mentally, and emotionally. We bring you expert advice, real life stories, and actionable strategies to help you stride confidently into a future of vitality and fulfillment. So now, please welcome the host of Walk with Wisdom, Genevieve Wisdom.
Hi, everyone. I'm Genevieve Wisdom, and welcome to Walk with Wisdom, a lifestyle show on youthful aging, which is looking great and feeling amazing as you age, and doing it with perseverance and a zest and zeal for life, what any age. We just to let you know before we get started, thank you all of our viewers. We actually have viewers who've come back every week. Thank you so much for spending time with us. We're live on YouTube. We're streaming everywhere. As well as you can follow us on Facebook and Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And make sure to subscribe to Bold Brave TV. That way you can stay connected. Now, what is the show about today? You may have remembered when we started this walk 5 weeks ago. Can you imagine? Time flies. I mentioned on the first show, I had the amazing Megan introducing me, and it was Interview the Interviewer. And I mentioned that I do that every few weeks so you can get to know who I am. I'm new to most of you. I am doing an Interview the Interviewer section today, and the amazing Mr. Bruce Pollack has agreed to come back. If we can bring up Bruce, please. Hi, Bruce.
Hey Genevieve, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you. How are you?
I'm well. I can't wait to get started.
Fantastic. I'm just going to talk to our audience a little bit more, Bruce. We've actually had, I've had some emails, people really enjoying the rapport that you and I have had. And everyone, Bruce has known me for some time now. Bruce, how long have we known each other?
I was trying to figure it out about 15 years, I think now.
Yeah, 15. We're going to stick with
Yeah,
15. It could be more,
yeah.
but it's not
We don't
more.
want to talk about it. Yeah.
Exactly. About 15 years now. And so, because Bruce has given us this amazing walk through menopause, and if you haven't seen those shows, please go back and check them out on any of the platforms that you use. We're on all the major platforms. A lot of people have said, Bruce, that a rapport is great. So thank you for coming to help with that rapport and let the audience get to know their host, Genevieve Wisdom, a little bit better within the context of menopause and menopause. Well, menopause for me. So, Bruce, take it away.
Well, as you're saying, I've known you for about 15 years now, Jen. And when you see Jen on the camera, she's this vibrant, beautiful, exciting, energetic woman. And this has been Genevieve through the whole time I've known her. But what you don't see is you don't see what happens when the symptoms kick in, the symptoms of menopause. And I thought really to start it off with so that you understood why Genevieve is so interested in this subject and why she's so into helping people is I thought we could just start with the symptoms that you're feeling because I've known Genevieve before she moved into menopause, and now that I've known her through this journey, if you would, I'd be really interested to just hear what you've been going through on a physical and emotional level.
Wow. I have tears. And I didn't know I would have tears, but remember also, audience, when I first started this, I said, you're going to get to see the authentic me. Because we've lived in a world of we're told that things are real, and you and I both know they ain't real. So you're seeing the real me. It's your sister around the corner. It's your friend, like how Bruce and I become friend and really more family. And that's what you're getting to see. And Bruce just touched an amazing point already. So, what you don't see for me is the struggle that I have had in this new and exciting phase of life. Um, when my hormones stopped, life stopped, and I didn't really know what was going on. And remember, we also talked about my coming from a fashion background. Remember, I was walking down the street, 5'8", 110 pounds. Oh, you should model. That's another story for another show, Bruce, because you know Bruce knows a little bit about that journey because he met me when I was still in my 40s and still modeling. Actually, I have a couple of pictures. Bruce thought it might be a good idea to just show those of you who are getting to know Genevieve Wisdom and walk with wisdom and this walk we're going on, what the old me was like. Dan, could you please put up like one of the black and whites when I was in my 30s? Um, we're going to pop up a picture here so you can see. So I went from that in my 30s, in my modeling days. We made perfect. Yeah. So I was 30s. This was when I was doing contacts and makeup. Because back in the day when I modeled, by the time you hit 30s, you were pretty much washed up. So that's one of my looks. You can see vibrant and energetic, which I try to
Mm.
exude now. But a lot has changed. My body has changed, my emotions have changed. The way I relate to absolutely every part of life has changed. And as Bruce leads me through these questions, you'll really get to go a little bit deeper about what some women go through in menopause. No, it's not everyone. There are different phases. And Bruce, I came up with a great idea that we're going to talk about at the end of the questions to tell men and women about what their symptoms might be doing. And I think you have some insights yourself, having being a coach and consultant, about what you've seen me go through and possibly how mild or extreme it is.
So, can you give us a little detail about the physical aspects of menopause for you and the emotional side of it?
Absolutely. So, physical aspect, a lot of my friends who knew me, by the way, my nickname was Black Barbie. I didn't give that to myself, you know, but that was the nickname that I got. And um imagine a Barbie doll. That was me my whole life. Not that anymore. And let's just be very clear. I love myself. And that's what I want all you, especially the girls. I can talk to you on a woman to woman, sister to sister level, no matter what, love yourself. So I love myself. So it's not about body size, it's just about the drastic change that happens. And when it's not you and it's not the body that you had and the body you're in, it does some things to you, both on a physical level, which Bruce will help me talk about, but certainly an emotional level. So body size changed drastically. And remember, everyone, when we talk about youthful aging, it's beauty from the outside in, because this is how we see each other. We experience each other by what we see first.
Hmm.
Yeah, the heart, absolutely. The heart is what really counts. But when we see each other, we see what we look like. And so people have looked at me and go, Genevieve, Wisdom, what the fun happened to you? Go, have you heard about menopause? And so I've changed drastically in body size, and that means a lot of water weight, Bruce, which is some of the things that happen, and we'll talk a little bit more specific. But with that hormonal cascade that we talk about, your endogenous hormones, which means the hormones that your body makes naturally as a woman, they stop upon cessation of menses. And then some people decide to take exogenous hormones. I'll tell you, I was never going to be one of those girls, Bruce. I was never going to take anything. I was just going to skate through this until I couldn't sleep, the weight, the mental fatigue, all these. I have experienced just about all the symptoms and at a very high level. And so I really, for me, see the body weight, because imagine coming from modeling and then what my wardrobe looks like right now. If I couldn't lie to myself about that, it really was happening. Secondly, for me, a massive problem is really sleep and Bruce and digestion. And with digestion, girls and guys, Bruce, we talked about gut and the myriad of things that happens with gut. And it's really IBS that I um, have experienced. And Bruce, I know you can add a little about IBS because IBS isn't just one or the other. Isn't just constipation or diarrhea, is it? It could be all kinds of
In
different ones.
fact,
Bruce, I want to hear your
in
intake,
fact,
your input here.
yeah, in fact, often it's back and forth. One day you'll be constipated, the next day you'll have diarrhea. It's also inflammation. It's mostly inflammation, but the side effect is cramping, diarrhea, constipation, one or the other, or both. Because I often see it. I say to people, "You're constipated." Oh, sometimes, but sometimes have the runs, and it's
Yeah.
the same problem. It's just the opposite spectrum of the expression of the problem.
Absolutely. And then what has happened with me more often, and Bruce, I think we talked about this, and ladies, specifically the ladies, we're talking to the ladies right now because many of you will relate to what I am going through, and we'll talk about you ladies that are prior perimenopause because there are things that you can do. A lot of what we're doing now, you can do previous, and that may lessen your symptoms when you get here. But with a lot of girls, Bruce, when we've talked about this, is women are more constipated in general. Do you
Hmm.
find that in
Yeah,
your years of practice like me?
yeah. I find that even non-menopausal women, the doctors nowadays are saying, "Oh, bowel movement every 3 to 5 days is normal." And that may be normal, but it's not healthy. Excuse me, it's
Yeah.
not healthy. You're constipated. You need to be going to the washroom every day, or those toxins seep through your colon, causing other problems. So, yeah, generally, it's actually a very normal problem for women.
Absolutely. And it's funny, ladies, that Bruce said 3 to 5 days because I remember when I was modeling, that was normal for me and all the
Hmm.
girls. 3 to 5 days. And I remember once in my 20s, uh, doctor said to me, how often do you go to the bathroom? And I go, I don't know, once or twice a week. He goes, that's it. So it's funny, back then he was really alarmed, but seemingly that has continued where now, we're kind of hearing that it's normal, but again, just because something happens a lot doesn't necessarily mean it's normal. So remember when we started, I told my audience that we were going to talk about gut and really elimination and how pooing makes you beautiful. Just thought I'd throw that in there.
Hmm.
So again, going back to some of the drastic symptoms for me, the massive weight gain, which is overt and obvious to everybody, and I know, and the lack of sleep. And then there are other symptoms as well, Bruce, but I'm sure you have some other questions that maybe you want to lead me down this
Just
walk.
before we leave this one totally,
Yes.
how do you feel once you finish? So we do an hour of this, or you do an hour of this, and you're putting out all your energy. You're keeping it light and energetic. How do you feel after the podcast?
Wow. And there's a trigger again. And those of you who know me and have known me before this stage in life know that some ladies, I love my girlfriends, and they'll just cry. They'll see a beautiful flower and they'll start crying. That's not me. I'd rather draw my machete. And you guys know what that means. I'm hinting at where I'm from. But for me, to be teary, that's unique. But one of the shows, when I was finished, everyone, I literally crawled to bed. I rolled out of the chair. I have a filming room. I tried to set up a nice background to make it feel like we're going on a walk. I really tried to make it inviting for you, my guests, again, because I care about you taking your time to come and hear this important talk about life 40 and over. And then we started with menopause. So I have a filming room. I literally, Bruce, rolled out of the chair and crawled to bed. And so thank you for asking. The This is it for me. This is it for me sometimes for 1 week. And um the energy levels is just in the tank. That's it. That's all I've got. And so I know a lot of women in our practices have come to us about that, Bruce. After the short break, you and I can come back and maybe you can tell me some of the experiences you've had as well. because I love this rapport. And everyone, as I talked about, walk with wisdom. It's a journey. We go on it together. Bruce and I are going to have some great ideas at the end of the show. And we're going to take a short break for sponsors. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming back. Genevieve Wisdom of Walk with Wisdom. And I have Bruce Pollock here. He is interviewing the interviewer today. There is Bruce's contact information. If you wanted to reach him directly, Bruce underscore Pollock at yahoo.ca. And of course, with me, we love emails, wisdom at walkwithwisdom.ca. And Bruce, we left off on a really important question about my journey through menopause and what you and I have experienced with women. And it's the energy crisis,
Hmm.
right?
I really thought that was important because throughout my years of dealing with this, I've had women that they feel really bad because all I could do was cook dinner. I didn't have the energy to do dishes, and there's a real guilt that comes with that, and the guilt shouldn't be there. This is something that's out of your control. You don't have the energy, and I really believe that the negative emotion harms you as much as the menopause itself does. So this is what I love about Genevieve. I look beautiful, and she does. She's a beautiful woman. We all do. It doesn't matter what walk of life we're in. But as soon as we start feeling guilty, negative, all those things about ourselves or our lack of energy or the way we feel, that affects us on a physical level. And we're already being affected on a physical level, so we don't need to add to it. So that was why I forced Genevieve into talking about her energy levels, just so that everybody realized, one, it's normal, and two is like, don't worry about it. That's just, I mean, we can build health from there, but don't feel guilty about it. Accept it
Absolutely.
as just part of the journey, if you would.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Bruce, for having us, especially girls, talk about the energy aspect because we do, we all do diverse jobs. And when we're unable to do it and take care of the family, I know for women nurturers, that can cause a guilt. And ladies, no guilt here. It's
Hmm.
normal. And Bruce and I have some ideas when we get further in. Please go ahead,
Right.
Bruce.
Okay, so we've talked about your symptoms. Tell me, were they expected? Is this what you're expecting when you're walking in menopause, or did you get hit with a baseball bat?
Heaven no, I didn't expect this. And I talk to girls who are in my age group going through it, and we go, they didn't tell us. We didn't find out until we got here. But Bruce and everyone, my audience, by the way, thank you for your comments. Please go ahead and make comments. How I can relate to you more, of course, is when you send me an email because we're here. We just have a certain amount of time, but I see your comments. I appreciate it. Talk to one another, and I can also share them with Bruce at the end of the show. And we can specifically answer some questions, possibly, Bruce, on another one of the
Hmm.
podcasts. Um, but certainly, I didn't expect it. And my being in the nutraceutical industry. So, ladies, again, my three main areas was beauty, which is why I don't throw it out, and it's foundational because we see each other, we have an experience of each other first through our eyes. Um, the wealth industry and the health industry. And wealth being I was an insurance broker and I was in banking. And then most recently, the largest area where I've learned a lot of skills and spent time um, helping others, because Bruce and I love to help others, is in the integrative health space. So it's more on wellness, but we really have a lot of wisdom and knowledge on nutraceuticals, which is studied and researched vitamins and minerals and things that will make a change in what we're going through with the symptoms that we're going through. And so, my being in that field, Bruce, I thought I got this. I was
Hmm.
cleansing before cleansing was a thing. I was vegan before vegan was a thing to cleanse. I was eating quinoa. I ate so much quinoa that I can't eat quinoa right now because I ate so much quinoa for a decade that my middle name was quinoa. So I went through, I thought I had such a solid base, and boom, here I am. I'm going, what the
Hmm.
fun happened?
Okay. My next part, I guess, is a two-part question. What's been the hardest part for you, number one? And what was most unexpected part of the journey for you, for number two?
Yeah, so the hardest part for me is not sleeping. We haven't really touched on sleep, but Bruce, I know and ladies, because you're all going through it with me, and those of you who are going through it with me, please share that. And for right now, until we build some more groups for the Walk with Wisdom podcast, as we get to know one another, send an email because we have ways to deal with this. But a massive part of this stage of life is sleeplessness. And really, what happens is your cortisol. We talked about this. And again, if you haven't seen or two previous podcasts, Bruce and I talked about menopause, menopause, which is the male version, andropause. Generally, in general, that happens about a decade after women experience menopause. For men, their hormones are going down too, and they can have some drastic changes. So for me, sleep is non existent. And I have tried absolutely everything for sleep. Um, Absolutely everything because I know what to do. I have the great Bruce Pollock in my corner. I have a team of medical experts, and yeah, nothing. That was really, really the most difficult part. And I guess the most unexpected part was that the two-part question,
Hmm.
Bruce,
Absolutely.
unexpected.
Yeah, most expensive.
So I guess the most unexpected part for me was to realize that, okay, I'll tell you a story. Remember when we started on this, I told you all that I speak in stories because it gives you a visual. So when I was much younger, taller, and thinner, and that's my little tagline, and I love it and I uphold it because I love me now. But there was a me then. By the way, is there another black and white picture, please, Dan, that you can put up of me in my 30s? And so there's another one that we're gonna pop up, much younger, taller, and thinner. Um, I would coach women on weight loss, and I would coach women not specifically just on fat loss, but we talk about making sure that you're healthy. You're going to look for bone density. So we did DEXA scans, right, Bruce, to make sure that we're
Hmm.
we're checking all the different parts of your body composition, because it's not just about body size. And again, it's not about size. It's about how you're healthy in that size. And so I remember this one lady came in and she took one look at me up and down, and she looked at me like she knew I was a black Barbie, and I'm going, I didn't know what was going on. And she goes, have you ever gained weight? And I said, no, eat less and exercise more.
Yeah.
She goes, it's coming for you. And it came
Yeah.
for me. So the most unexpected part for me, I never had a weight issue. I've gained weight once, but it was something specific that happened. It was like an insult that happened in life that caused that. But apart from that, you know, tall and slim and sleek and lean. And so I've never really had that boomerang. And when it's just come on like it has, it's just like, oh, wow. Need some help here because, Bruce, and again about the weight and the hormonal aspect of it, that's really showing how out of balance my hormones are. And we can't, nothing will change. The gut won't change, the sleep won't change, the brain health, which we'll talk about later, won't change, and the weight won't change if we don't get it all balanced. So it's not just about the weight, it's everything in conjunction. But for me, that was really the most unexpected part because I could exercise. I can't exercise now, by the way, because everything hurts. Plus, I have a lot of dizzy spells. So when people go for a walk around the block, I go, I can't walk. Sugar, you don't understand. And last thing about the most unexpected thing for me is giving up my heels.
Mm.
I loved a high heel, Bruce. And I know a lot of you ladies, I used to hear the ladies say to me, oh, yeah, we can only wear flats. And I'm going, why? Why do you give up your heels? I will never give up my heels. Well, you don't want to see what I'm wearing on my feet, but it's flat and comfortable because estrogen and, of course, all the hormones working in balance, they have to be in homeostasis, which is in balance, affect different things like your ligaments, like your bones. And so a lot of drop foot happens in menopause, a lot of flat footedness, a lot of pain between the ligaments, joints, tendons, all of that, because now we're not making our hormones endogenously and the body is going, where is it? There's a panic. And then we have these symptoms that Bruce and I are going to come up with some protocols later on.
So I'm curious about this. I've had many ladies come up to me and say, menopause, it feels like I'm losing myself. Have you ever looked in the mirror and said, who's this person staring back at me? Because I get that a lot. These poor ladies, they say, I don't even recognize the person in the mirror anymore. Can you explain that to me?
100%. And I'll tell you another story. I was walking down the street, and we walk down the street and there's a reflection in the glass at a storefront, Bruce and ladies. I was walking down the street and I'm going, oh, there's another lady who looks like she's from where I'm from. So I live in a phenomenal city. Phenomenal. We love one another here. And that's what I love about where I live in Vancouver. For the most part, there is this love and respect for one another, no matter color, creed, yada, yada, yada. So I just want to say that I love where I am. And my mom came here in 1974 and brought us kids up. So really, really love it here. So I'm walking and I look and I thought, oh, looks like someone from where I'm from, kind of looks like my mom. And I realized it was me. That woman wasn't following me. That was me. And I'm going, that what happened? And so I know what that's like. And again, ladies, this is not about self-hatred, about us gaining weight. That's not the issue. It's about now this person that's looking back at you is simply not you. And some of us, it's in weight. Some of us, it's in our skin. Some of us, it's the headaches and the dizziness. And, you get up in the morning and you're trying to brush your teeth. I've done that. And you're going, I'm going to fall into this sink. Um, and then, of course, we will talk about the emotions, but 100% looking at ourselves and thinking, oh, wow, and it can happen suddenly. It actually happened quite fast for me because I didn't actually go through a perimenopause stage that was overt. And perimenopause that's overt means that you'll have, women will have sporadic menses. I didn't do that. It was done and done, just all the way through like clockwork. And then I was done. And then everything changed in an instant. And so I now concur. And I had the same thing, Bruce, in my private practice with women, coaching and counseling and helping them be compliant with their medical professionals if they're on hormone therapies or if they're on nutraceutical therapies or both. You and I are very well versed in that. And a lot of ladies have told me that. And now it's me, Bruce. I'm not loving it. But you know what? I like where I am and I'm content And this is just one of those things in life. Walk with wisdom, and we go through this journey.
Okay. Well, let's talk about spontaneous combustion, also called hot flashes. I've seen it happen where the lady in front of me just sweat starts pouring off of her, and it's just totally out of control. Do you have a secret weapon? What do you do to cool yourself down when this is happening?
Huh?
Okay, no secret
Let's
weapon. Moving along.
say, let's just say the neighbors might not wanted to see what I come outside in. Okay, I'll tell you another story. So, based on where I live, my amazing husband is from, he's an ice hockey boy. So, this is going to give a contrast. The man has played hockey his whole life, grew up loving being out on the ice, and or first winter together when I was going through this time, it was minus 11 outside, which is unusual for us where we are, but it was a little cold snap. He had my winter jacket on, and you guys can tell that I'm from a hot island girl. So I had the warmest down. He had my winter jacket on because I'm tall, so he can fit in it. So he had it all pulled up. The heats were going, and then all of a sudden, the window goes down on my side. I turn off the heat, and these big blue eyes turn around and look at me and go, "What are you doing? It's minus 11 degrees outside." And I go, "Haven't you heard of a hot flash?" And then I'm going, "Oh my goodness, this is what a hot flash feels like." It was horrific. And so, that's a little bit of a jest, but I have tried to do it with nutraceutical protocols to calm the fire within. And it does calm it. So, I mean, because I couldn't be here, Bruce, I would have had a hot flash like every 5 minutes before I started on taking a certain brand of nutraceuticals. And so we can come back and talk about, some of the things that we can do. What we're going to do right now is have a short break so that our sponsors can tell us all the good stuff that they have for us. Thank you all for watching. Keep commenting. Please come back. We're going to talk more about menopause and menopause. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Walk with Wisdom. I'm host Genevieve Wisdom, and we have Bruce Pollock with us today. We are continuing the talk about menopause, because it is something that your host is going through right now. And along the line of us being authentic, so you get to know me, Bruce has agreed to come back and interview the interviewer. And so we're talking about all the different symptomology and how I go through it as a life coach, as someone having all the nutraceutical experience, as someone having a team of doctors and naturopathic doctors and colon hydrotherapists and IV therapists and holistic nutritionists and homeopathic doctors around me, and yet it's a struggle. And so we're here today. Bruce has come to help me to say to women, specifically in this, that it's okay. We don't give up. There are answers, and we keep doing things to make it better. So, Bruce, we start. I started off, or I left off, talking about nutraceutical protocols. They help. They help
Hmm.
tremendously. And so, whatever your doctor tells you to do, some of you might need to have hormone replacement, bioidentical hormone replacement at a certain time. Do the research. If you have any questions, we come in, Bruce and I, if I can talk for us, as coaches. So we come in between where your medical professional may not have the time to really listen and go through the nitty gritty as to why you're on bioidentical progesterone, or why you're on this supplement to help you, to get you to sleep at night. We have the time to do that because we're a coach
Hmm.
and a consultant and counselor, and we come in the middle and we have that time and we take that time. So you can contact me, wisdom at walkwithwisdom.ca, or if you want to talk to Bruce specifically, Bruce_Pollock at yahoo.ca. So, Bruce, we're going to talk further. Have another one for me?
I do. So we've talked about the physical symptoms and that kind of thing, but what about the impact on relationships? Have you noticed a shift in how you connect with your friends, your family, even your husband? Has there been a difference as things have shifted into the menopause stage?
Oh, Lord, I'll tell you a story. I used to hear, and this is very transparent. Sorry, honey, he didn't know I was going to say this on out there, but I am doing this podcast because so many people over all the different industries I've been in have asked me for my wisdom. Thank you for valuing what I've studied and experienced and put it together under this umbrella of life coaching. And then Bruce has come alongside me with his incredible plethora of accolades, to help. We love to help, and we love to help primarily in the nutraceutical space, the integrative health and healing and wellness space. And so I didn't know I would be at this stage when I started this podcast. I had no idea. It just happened. And what I found, Bruce, and you may have as well with your clients, is they love to know that you know.
Hmm.
You go to someone who gets you. You don't want to go to someone that's, I mean, okay, we look up to people and go, maybe one day we want to be like so and so. But on the real aspect, to make real change in life, we like to go to people who know. And so, um, one of the things that had happened, and the story tying it back to my husband, is I used to have women say to me that my husband hasn't seen me naked in years. I hide. Well, today, the man opened the door without knocking. I'm telling you, he got a little bit of spice from me. And so, um, all these different things happen to us during this time. And so, Bruce, can you just repeat the question? And ladies, I'll say this. One of the things that happened to why, if you see me using notes in the show, is I have memory lapses. And so, because hormones affect the brain, Bruce, how much does it
Hmm.
affect our brain and sleep and memory? So please forgive me for that. I kind of
So
lost the question there.
yeah, no problem. So the question was about relationships. Have you noticed there's been a shift in your connection with other people, with your friends, your family, your husband? That's sort of
Oh,
what we're looking for is your relationship and your connections with other people. Have they changed since you've been going through the menopausal change journey?
absolutely. Well, and the reason why I start with the husband and told that story is, for a lot of us girls, and Bruce, you know that our closest relationship is our spouse. So they're gonna
Hmm.
get the good, the bad, and the good with it. And so
Hmm.
that's why I started there, because of this change. And then sometimes he can't touch me because I'm so hot. And the man is tactile. He goes, "Well, can I touch your finger?" And I go, "Absolutely, baby, touch my finger, but nowhere else because it's hot and there's water pouring," which you've seen, Bruce. And so
Hmm.
so that has changed. The good news is, if you are in a love relationship, we can love more through it. And that's what I've found. And I'm very, very grateful to have such an understanding man who listens. And so with relationships, we have to communicate to all those around us. Like if we're starting to freak out, just like when I lost my memory lapse right now, I explained to you all what was happening. If we start to freak out, we have to just try with every ounce that we have and just explain, listen, right now I'm going through some things. If I lash out on you and I don't normally do, or if I start crying and I don't normally do, I'm just going through some things. Just bear with me. I'm working with it. And Bruce and Genevieve has some protocols that we'll talk about in the
And
future.
keep in mind that as important as to communicate with your husband or the partner in your life, men do think differently than women. And
Uh-huh.
the way I sort of try to express this, which isn't 100% accurate, so no bad comments, is ladies, you try to express the way you feel through story, or you'll use an example. You squeeze the toothpaste in the middle. It's not the toothpaste being squeezed in the middle that bothers you. It's the feeling you get from that. The example I use is um, if a woman says to a man, "I feel like you're having an affair," it means you're not spending enough time with me. You don't care about me enough. I feel like your love is going somewhere else. Well, if a man says that to a woman, that's what he means. There is no ifs, ands, and buts about that. If he says to you, "I feel you're having an affair," he believes you are. So when you're talking to a man and you're trying to get your point across, make sure what you're saying can jive with a person who sees the world in black and white, because that's the way men do it. We don't see it in emotion, we see it. And so when you say, "What are we thinking about?" We say nothing. We're really not thinking about anything. We're just sitting there. So when you do go to explain what you're feeling, try to put it in a way that he will understand. And if you're really in a good place with him, say, "Can you tell me back what I just said to you?" And if he can explain back to what he said to you using his words, then he understood what you're saying. But don't do it when he's watching the hockey game. He won't be listening. Make sure you sit down and say, "Is this a good time to talk? Can we talk? Because I have some important stuff I need to say." And that's going to be the way you do it. And it's so important because I've seen many women come to me and say, "I'm losing my relationship. I don't know what to do. I can't talk to this person." Well, you need to. It's very important. Sorry for the
Yeah.
speech.
No,
Um,
and that's why that wait, Bruce, one moment, if I may just add to that. That's why it's important why I said menopause, because we all experience it together. And Bruce, I don't want to run out on this show, though we're talking specifically about my experience. Well, maybe we'll talk about it on another show, because men go through changes too,
mhm,
hormonally. And, having Bruce's perspective, audience, is so important, because I don't want to leave the men out. And we have all kinds of male relationships in our lives. It could be our sons, if we're blessed to be, moms in our 80s, could be a brother
mhm,
or nephew. This show really helps across the board with us and with the men in our lives. And thank you, Bruce, for reminding us, because us girls were emotional and we add
mhm,
emotion to everything. Remember, when you're talking to the men in your life, keep it black and white. Thank you, Bruce.
mhm. Yeah, keep it simple.
Yes.
So along most journeys, there's a point where you just feel like you're going straight uphill and you can't take the next step. Was there a point where you just said, "This is ridiculous. I'm not going to feel the pity party anymore. I'm not going to feel sorry for myself. I need to take charge. I need to take back my power," if you would. Did you do it? Was there a turning point where all of a sudden you said, "This isn't where the way I want to be experiencing this experience"? And did you do something different? Did you make changes at a certain point?
Yes, absolutely. things just kept getting worse. I was getting fatter, I was getting hotter, I'm doing all this stuff and it's not working. And I'm going, oh, no, you don't. I don't accept it because I know there are answers. I have seen them work for many, many, many others. And so, keeping in mind that, my experience is really at a heightened level. And I think one of the reasons is because I went from high level of hormones, which normally genetically I would have, to so
Hmm.
like from the penthouse to parking garage number 12 in an instant. There was no winding down. That just happened. And I was really going into a little bit of a hole. I can't function like I used to. I can't stand. I have this dizziness. Now, I don't know if one has anything to do with the other, but because of where I am, it's all different things that I'm going through. So my physicality changed, how I move, how I live my day, my job, everything changed. And I thought I'm going to take my power back. And how I do that is do what I know best. And when people have asked me, Genevieve, give us your wisdom, I started to dig in to the wisdom that I have learned from others. And that is when I decided I have I have to do this podcast. I can't hide because I was hiding. I didn't want to come out like this. I was hiding, because, and I don't know, Dan, if you can pop up any of the pictures, whichever one work, maybe even one of the colored ones when I was in my mid 40s, and still modeling. There we go. Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. That's one that I did, in my 40s, for um, uh, skincare, makeup line. And then, so I was hiding because that was so much a part of me. But one thing I'll say, Bruce, we can't let our looks or external things be our identity. Because if it is, then when you come to a massive crossroads, like what I'm feeling
Hmm.
right now, you would just crawl and give up. And that's not about me. So that's why I thought, let's do the podcast. Let's be real. People are talking about
Hmm.
menopause everywhere. Menopause, not so much, but Bruce and I are talking about that. So
Yep.
let's be real. We're ordinary, extraordinary people next door. We can talk about this and we can come up with a protocol to help one another. Bruce and I have the wisdom to do it. And so that's what really changed me is I am going to do what I can do, which I know what I know I can do with the help of my brilliant friends, starting with you, Bruce, to put together protocols to help women go through this. And so when we come back, um, we're going to have a short break for sponsors. When we come back, we'll talk about some of those protocols that is coming up in future shows. Thank you, everyone. Genevieve Wisdom, welcome to Walk with Wisdom. And Bruce Pollock is here with me today talking about my journey on menopause. Bruce, anything you wanted?
Absolutely. So you've been going through this for a while now. You must have come up with something to help you out. What would you say, like, let's call them wisdom hacks, if you would? What ideas do you have for just dealing with on a day-to-day basis?
Thank you, Bruce. I love that. Before we talk about the wisdom hacks, I'm going to pull up one more picture. Dan, if you, yeah, perfect. So, this is one of my favorite pictures. Again, in my 40s, mid 40s. It's not like, 20 years ago, um, to mid to late 40s. And um, I really want to get my body back. That is one of the wisdom hacks that I want to do. And so you see all these things about weight and weight loss. And so one of the things that I'm going to do, Bruce, and I am going to get your wisdom on it because it works for men as well, is to help us balance our hormones foundationally so we can get our bodies back and lose that midsection. You've heard about the
Hmm.
belly, and I also call it the
Yep.
mano belly. It's right
Yep.
around there that it sits and it really irks us. And one of the wisdom hacks that I have for that is really starting with the gut. So what I want to do, we're gonna we don't want to give too much information per show. We don't want it to be like, a university course per show. We want it to be fun and talking while giving everyone a little bit of information. So we're gonna start with the gut, then we're going to work on sleep because I think, Bruce, you agree that if we don't sleep, it really doesn't
Oh yeah.
matter what we do as well,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to weight. So, the number one thing again is gut, making sure we're going to the bathroom. I'll talk about doing colonics because me again, keeping in mind that I'm here. Oh, Bruce, something I thought of. And ladies and gentlemen, all my viewers, this may make sense to you. I hope it does. I'm just dropping it on Bruce right now. I thought what we would do is put together 4 levels of changing, reverting, reversing, reviving us back to what we used to do. Now, maybe we're not going to be exactly how we were at 21, but certainly we can reverse back to mid 40s. I'll take it. And
Hmm.
it's to have mild, medium, hot, and picante settings. I'm picante, I'm extra hot.
Hmm.
And that would mean that if someone has something mild going on, maybe it's just a matter of fixing their gut, get some probiotics, get the microbiome going, and some magnesium for sleep, and that will fix them. Let's say if we're talking about gut and sleep. For someone who's medium, we stack. Everyone knows I love stacking, Bruce. You get stacking. Sometimes some people need
Absolutely.
more things to do. So we'll stack it in the medium level and then we go up levels. So it's not a one size fits all. That's what makes us so unique, uniquely beautiful, uniquely amazing wherever we are. It's not a one size fits all. What do you think, Bruce and audience? I love your comments about this.
I think it's a fabulous idea. Just start at the basics and move into the, as you say, the picante, if you would. It's a great idea. But even,
Perfect.
what we refer to men is we say the dad bod. And the dad
Yes.
bod is the cortisol bod, right? That's
Yes.
that tire around the gut. And it's
Absolutely.
not hell and as much as it's normal and acceptable and all those things, it's still not really healthy. So it's let's start at the basics and work our way through. Absolutely.
Perfect. And that's exactly it. And remember, everyone, as I mentioned, it's not about body size.
Hmm.
It's not at all about that. But we do have the hip to waist ratio that all of us in health know about. And I'm sure now with Google, everyone know what the hip to waist ratio is. That if it's really now you're straight and more, you have a spare tire, it sets you up for some chronic conditions. So at
Hmm.
our ages, especially 40 and over, we're really looking to reset, to do that resetting with this menopausal and menopausal cascade so that we're healthy and we decrease our risk of these chronic conditions that can come just from us having this massive weight change. And we can do it. There are things that we can do. Right, Bruce?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, Bruce,
Yeah,
in the
stave
last
off the
couple,
stave off the type 2 diabetes and that sort of thing, you know.
absolutely, absolutely. So, Bruce, is there any comments that you have for me just to wrap up about um, getting to know me a little bit more through this journey, and that you may have in general for or amazing audience that's watching?
Yeah, I really appreciate and thank you so much, Jen, for being so honest about this. I know we've touched on a number of personal things, and including weight, emotions, and even your memory. And I think that it's really important for everybody out there to realize these aren't things to be ashamed of. These are just
Nope.
things the way they work. There are things you can make them better, but don't feel bad because you're feeling this way. Just accept that's what you feel, and then we can move to a better place. Remember that journey. You hit that pinnacle where you just decide enough is enough. Now we need to change. Well, change slowly. You don't have to change overnight, and nothing will change overnight. But
True.
remember, you're not alone. I guess that's what I really want to say is you're not alone in this. Genevieve has probably, if I can be totally honest, the worst symptomology I've ever seen. And yet, look at her. She's this vibrant, smiling, laughing woman, right? So don't
You did
don't
get
let it
the
take
ouch part, right? Ouch.
yeah, don't let it take you down the wrong trail. Remember, you can
Yes,
still be smiling and vibrant and not energetic necessarily, but you don't have to live a life of depression as this goes through.
absolutely.
So again, thank you so much for your honesty and your candidness in this. I've really it's opened my eyes to what's going on.
Mm. Thank you, Bruce, and thank you for agreeing to interview me on such a really intimate topic to really put out there. But you know my heart of authenticity, which you have as
Hmm.
well, and it's really to help others, and it's affecting so many women and men, and it's at such a deep level, and we shouldn't have to suffer through this. We walk together, we walk with wisdom to get through it
Hmm.
together. Thank you all again so much for joining me this week. Next week, we are going to have some of those protocols we talked about. And I'm hoping, Bruce, do you think you can come back with me? I have another guest next week to talk about nutraceuticals specifically. That's or we live, breathe, and dream
Yeah.
nutraceuticals. So I'm wondering, could you come back with me like at the end of the show and maybe help me do a little wrap up, put things in perspective, and maybe introduce some of these protocols that we talked about today?
Well, you know what I say. Besides myself, nutraceuticals are my favorite subject. So I would love to come back and talk to you about them. Absolutely, it'd be my pleasure.
Fantastic. Thank you again, everyone, for joining Walk with Wisdom. Remember to share, give a thumbs up whenever you can. Stay connected on the Bold Brave platform. You can get a hold of me directly, wisdom at walkwithwisdom.ca, or Bruce underscore Pollock at yahoo.ca. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
This has been Walk with Wisdom with host Genevieve Wisdom. Tune in each week as Genevieve will present powerful guests who'll inspire you to make every step count. Whether you're walking your dog, tackling your morning run, or enjoying a quiet moment with your headphones, Walk with Wisdom is your companion for redefining what it means to age powerfully and intentionally. Fridays, 4 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network. Powered by B2 Studios. Take the first step with us because wisdom isn't about what you've left behind, it's about everything that lies ahead.